All right, Dr. Peter Martone here, and I am presenting on a very controversial subject. I know. If you listen, a hashtag, or I just want to warn you, if you don't want to hear information, you want to keep believing what you're believing, then stop and don't go any further and save your comments for yourself. I am just presenting information. This is the first time I'm going to publicly present information. This information is fact. This is how things work. If you want to hear it or you choose you don't want to hear it, that's fine. What I want you to do is, my mission in life is to educate you, purely educate you with information, get you to know the stuff that I know, and then have you make informed decisions about your life. I have been asked so many questions to do a video like this, and I have, kind of resisted it just because I didn't want the backlash. You know what? I don't care anymore. Say what you want to say, post your comments as you want to post. I am doing this out of passion, out of love. And I really want people to understand what when you're getting the vaccine, what that means, especially the flu vaccine, because some people want to do it, some people don't want to do it. Wherever you stand, I'm presenting the information, and I'm doing it out of respect for a guy named Richard who had a negative reaction. I interviewed him on a show a while back. He got transverse myelitis. He is wheelchair bound. He's doing horrible right now from just getting the flu vaccine. And I said, Richard, if somebody could have told you something that made you question getting that flu vaccine that one day, what would it be? He's like, I just wanted to know I would have liked to know if there was a risk. And it's not as safe as you think. And I'm gonna go into it, I'm gonna present it and take the information and do what you want with it, okay? But in order to go there, I'm going to be explaining this a little bit different. And this is about the immunity, the immune system. How does your immune system work? Well, in general, and I don't want to complicate this, but I really believe that this is the information you need to kind of attach yourself to. There are two different types of immunity or immune systems in your body. One that's called humoral, the humoral immune system, which should represent or be active about 10 to 20% of the time. And then the cellular mediated immunity, which should be active about 80 to 90% of the time. And what does that mean? What are the difference between the two, and why do I even bring it up? Well, a cellular mediated response would be something like this. You end up getting a little bit of a headache. You end up starting to get a little bit of a sore throat, scratchy throat. A few days later, you start to get really stuffy. Then that stuffy goes into a lot of congestion. As the sore throat went away, then it goes to congestion, and then it can end with a cough, and then that cough can last a few days or a few weeks, depending on how you intervene. So it's a longer term or longer duration immune system response, but what happens is you get a permanent immunity. So if your body goes through the natural cellular mediated response, you can't get the same virus twice, because your body makes helper T cells and different things that recognize the virus again. So once the body sees it and it went through that process, it gets rid of it, and it gets rid of it forever. When you interfere in that, like for instance, if a child has an ear infection, you take an antibiotic and you don't go through that full cellular mediated response, you'll be reinfecting yourself with the same bacteria, so they're carriers for the bacteria. It's garbage, they're not carriers for it, they're just not going through the process. So what is the humoral response? Well, the humoral response is a short-term and shorter duration thing, but a violent reaction. A massive antibody reaction. So for instance, you'll get food poisoning. You vomit, it comes out this way, it goes out that way. That's a massive antibody reaction. Your body is just getting rid of what it can super fast, just getting out of your system and responding to it. But it's a short-term or a temporary immunity. So this is important to know the difference between a permanent immunity and a temporary immunity. When your body naturally goes through the cellular mediated response, that's a permanent immunity. When your body goes through a humoral response, it's a short-term immunity, and that is why when you can get the same food poisoning twice, you can get those, but the body just wants to get rid of them. So 80 to 90% of our immune system reaction should be cellular mediated response. Humoral is a massive antibody reaction, should be less of it. So when you get a vaccine, usually when you get let's say a virus vaccine, so a vaccine for the virus, for the flu vaccine, What you're doing is you're injecting either an attenuated virus or a dead virus or a weakened virus directly into your system. And instead of the body responding in the cellular mediated way, you respond humoral to the flu vaccine, which creates a short-term reaction, which is an antibody reaction, which gives you a temporary immunity. And what a virus wants to do to replicate is it wants to go in a cell. So the body creates a massive immune system reaction and a humoral nature, and you create a massive antibody reaction in your body. Maybe you get stuffy, or you get some sort of dry eye, or you have a reaction to the vaccine. You're infected with that virus in the body, and then that's it. Well, what happens? Why is that an issue to create a humoral response to the vaccine? Is because when the cell wants to go in, so the virus wants to go into the cell. When you create a humoral immunity, you create a big reaction to the vaccine, but it never gets rid of the chronically infected cells. So the antibodies, they destroy what it can, but don't get rid of it completely, and then the virus kind of lives in you chronically. What ends up happening when you go through this cellular mediated response, you create this Pac-Man. The body flags the virus, and it eats the cell. So when you go through the cellular mediated response to a natural virus, your body gets rid of it completely. When you go through this, you're teaching the nervous system to be humoral in nature. What ends up happening is you're creating these massive these antibody reactions to these viruses or to these things that you're getting injected with. So the body now becomes more, instead of this 80-20, it let's say goes to 60-40. Right? So now your body is being trained to respond humoral in nature. So now that the allergens come into your body, you create massive antibiotic reactions. So you get this humoral response. So you're training your body to become more hypersensitive to the environment, which is the theory is why all of these allergies and people are so responsive and reactive to everything across the sun when we weren't so reactive before. It's because we're teaching our immune systems to be this hypersensitive system. So that's why when you're trying to balance this stuff out, it's very difficult. But that is my issue with getting a flu vaccine. You're creating a humoral response to something that should be cellular mediated. And you shouldn't be worried about the virus at all, because it's not the seed, it's the soil. You should be more worried about keeping yourself healthy. The stresses in the wintertime, what is flu season? Where does it go during the summertime? It doesn't go anywhere. It is always here. And why is it always here? And why is it always around you? And why don't you get sick? You don't get sick because our immune systems are stronger. We have more sun energy. We have less dehydration. We sleep better. Or we go to sleep closer to sundown and wake up closer to sunrise. And our bodies don't have to work as hard to drain vital resources and keeping ourselves warm. In the wintertime, you have to bundle up. And our bodies don't have to fight as hard to stay at 98 degrees. So all of these other reasons are why we get sick. It's not because the flu magically comes down from the polar vortex and infects everybody around you. You need to be more worried about not being afraid of everybody around you, but being more concerned about holding yourself accountable to your lifestyle choices. And that is my message. It's educate before you vaccinate. Don't be afraid of the disease. It's not the disease. It's not the virus. It's not the seed. It's the soil. Worry about yourself, and we will be a much better off society. This, I'm loving this term, is a public service announcement. If you connect with it, great. If you don't, heck with it. I'm just trying to give you the information. I'm trying to be the messenger, and I know it's a complicated situation, and I didn't want to dive into it, but this is kind of my best overview to be able to give you. Thank you. Thanks for staying connected.